let's dive right in. We use the word nature all the time, right? Getting back to nature, human nature, mother nature, it all feels so solid, so real, something that's just there. But here's a thought. What if the most natural thing in the world isn't nature itself, but the idea of it?
I mean, check out this quote from over 100 years ago. It just nails it, doesn't it? Who gets to decide what a fine summer's day really is? The scientist with the weather data? The poet with all the feelings? Or the farmer who actually works the land? And get this isn't some new debate. This has been going on for a long, long time.
I think for most of us, our default setting is to see nature as this separate, external thing. You know, it's the wilderness outside the city, or the biological stuff happening inside our own bodies. It's this physical world that just exists, totally apart from us. And that's the common sense view.
But let's really challenge that for a second. What if this concept we use constantly isn't just a mirror reflecting reality, but a powerful human-made lens that actually shapes how we see everything around us? And that, right there, is the big question we're going to unpack.
So let's get into our first big point. The whole concept of nature isn't something we just stumbled upon out in the woods. It's something we, as humans, constructed. It's become this super powerful keyword that helps us organize our entire world.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. The word itself is unbelievably tricky. The famous critic Raymond Williams once said, "Nature is maybe the most complex word in the entire English language." Just think about that. It's doing so much work for us, often in ways that totally contradict each other, and we barely even notice. Okay, so if it's that complicated, what in the world does it actually mean? Let's try to pin this slippery idea down and look at the different hats it wears. So the source material breaks it down into four main meanings that we're always juggling. First, you've got external nature. That's the easy one, the wilderness, the world out there, separate from people. But then you've got universal nature, which is the entire physical universe, including us. By that logic, a skyscraper is just as natural as a beaver dam. Then there's intrinsic nature, the essential quality of something, like it's in a dog's nature to be loyal. And finally, superordinate nature. These are the big boss-level forces like gravity or the laws of genetics. Did you catch it? External and universal nature completely contradict each other, and yet we use both definitions all the time. Wild, right? All right, so we've got a few working definitions, kind of, but that just leads to another huge question. If nature is a thing, where do you actually point to find it?
And what's so amazing is that we seem to find it at completely different scales. Ever since we saw that blue marble photo from space, we picture nature as the entire, beautiful, fragile planet. It's everything. But at the very same time, since we discovered DNA, we also picture nature as this tiny, invisible double helix, the literal code of life. So it's both unimaginably huge and microscopically small.
And it's not just a question of where, but also when. Think about it. Whenever we talk about real or true nature, we almost always talk about it like it's something that's vanishing, something pristine that existed before we messed it all up. We're always putting the most authentic nature in the rearview mirror.
So, just to recap, our idea of nature is complicated, it's at every scale, and it's often stuck in the past. So what's the underlying mental software, the hidden code in our brains that's running all of these programs?
Okay, this right here is absolutely crucial. Our brains are wired to think in these pairs of opposites, or dualisms. We just automatically divide the world up like this: nature versus culture, body versus mind, wild versus tame. And here's the kicker. The idea of nature gets its meaning not just from what it is, but from everything we decide it is not. And a lot of the time, we secretly value one side of the pair more than the other. This hidden blueprint shapes pretty much everything.
Now, this is where it gets really sneaky. This incredibly powerful idea of nature doesn't always show up announced. A lot of the time, it's traveling in disguise, smuggled inside other everyday words.
And there's a fantastic term for this: collateral concepts. Think of them as Trojan horses. They're words that carry all the ideas and baggage of nature without you ever hearing the word itself. It's like a ghost in the machine.
And here are just a few of them. Once you start looking, you'll see them everywhere. When someone talks about the environment, the wilderness, or our genes, they're tapping right into those deep-seated ideas about nature. And it gets really serious when we use words like race or sex this way. It subtly suggests that these things are fixed, biological, natural categories instead of complex social ones. That's how powerful this is.
Okay, one last tool for our toolkit here. It's called metonymy. Sounds academic, but I promise you use it every single day. It's just when one single concrete image gets used to stand in for a huge abstract idea. The part represents the whole.
And this is the perfect example. When you see this image, you're not just thinking, oh, look, a polar bear. No way. This single animal on a piece of ice has become a powerful symbol for everything. Climate change, human impact, the idea of a fragile planet. The source calls this the nature effect, where one specific thing suddenly comes to stand for all of nature.
Okay, so if nature is this big, complicated idea that shows up in different words and images, then we have to ask the most important question. Who is building these ideas, and why are they doing it? Now, this is where it gets really good.
So let's look at one group, scientists. They use a collateral concept like biodiversity. It sounds very technical and official, right? It frames nature as this massive, interconnected system, something to be rationally studied, managed, and ultimately preserved. It's both a way of thinking and a call to action.
Okay, so that's team science. Now let's look at a completely different world. Advertising. Check out this car ad. The advertisers, they don't care about the scientific details of that ecosystem. They are staging nature. They're using our shared idea of what's wild and rugged and free to sell a family car. They want you to connect their product with all those powerful feelings of freedom and authenticity.
So you see what's happening here. The scientists and the advertisers, they're both what the source calls epistemic communities. It's a fancy term, but it just means they're groups that build and share knowledge in a particular way. One group constructs a version of nature that needs to be understood and protected. The other constructs a version of nature that creates desire and sells products. Both are building an idea of nature to achieve a specific goal.
And that leaves us with one final, really important thought. We are swimming in these constructed ideas of nature every single day, from documentaries and news reports to the labels on our food. So if nature is a powerful idea that people create, and not just a simple reality, then the most important question you can ask isn't just what is nature, it's who is building the version of nature that's in my head.